There is a glaring flaw in the military recruitment process that puts up a big roadblock for me. And this flaw will never be remedied because it's too uncomfortable to address. Also, my new wife of a year and a half puts enormous pressure on me to be an exceptional provider. This is chapter 7. The shaggy-haired freshman locked eyes with me, and then he leaned into his stare and said, "I don't have to listen to you. You're just a bus driver." And he was right. I was a bus driver, and I no longer had any authority. He knew the best way to wound me by just using my own thoughts against me. And why did I think that way? Well, somehow along the way, growing up and observing society, that's how I thought that it worked. I thought that your occupation determines your value as a human because that's what you're contributing to society. And, this student, he didn't know anything about me. He didn't know that I had served in foreign lands while he was just learning his timetables. He didn't know that I was providing for a wife and a new baby daughter at home. He didn't know that. He just was looking at me the way society teaches us to look at people sometimes, and that's through their job and their income. And while I couldn't blame him for thinking this way, it stung even more because I knew that even at this young age, that was already how he viewed society. So he wasn't alone in this. So his remark just confirmed to me that that's how other people saw me as well, as just a low-wage, low-status worker. And obviously that's one of the reasons why I set my sights on this job that I thought would give me status and respect. Not just the responsibility and the accomplishment that I desired, but I wanted to change how people saw me and my family. I didn't like feeling insecure around other people because of my position. And I even felt insecure around the middle schoolers and high schoolers, which caused me to miss out on opportunities to engage with them and interact with them. I preferred to just look straight ahead and drive that bus because I didn't want to fully take on that role. After a few weeks, the middle schoolers and high schoolers caught on that I had never introduced myself. And so when they asked me what my name was, I just used what the elementary school kids had started calling me. And I just went by Mr. Bus Driver. To me, that allowed me to stay anonymous, so I could stay just in this role that I wasn't really a bus driver, I was just portraying a bus driver. And this insecurity was made even worse by when I would take teachers or parents on the bus for field trips. I didn't look like the rest of my coworkers for the most part. I was about half the age of most of my coworkers, and I still followed, strict military grooming habits. So I looked different, and I know I piqued some of their curiosity, and so they would start asking me questions, almost in a way of like, what are you doing here? Why are you in this job? And I only gave them short answers, little pieces at a time, because I wanted to see how much they wanted to know if they would keep asking. It's kind of embarrassing to admit that now, but it's like people on Facebook or other social media when they post pictures of them getting onto an airplane with no caption. Why? Because they want you to ask where they're going, right? I wanted people to ask about me, but I was still too insecure to give up a lot of information. I remember this one time I was carrying these students from an upper middle class area, the high school, really nice high school. And we drove by the airport and I had mentioned something about airplanes. And so it came up that I was a private pilot, that I had a private pilot license. And she was questioning me in a way where she clearly didn't believe me. She asked me, "You mean like real airplanes that actually carry people, not like those radio controlled airplanes?" And she was giving me this really skeptical look, and I could tell that she still really didn't believe me. Like it was too hard to believe that somebody with a commercial driver's license would also hold a pilot's license. And so while I felt good that I got to share one of my accomplishments, it also sank in after everybody got off the bus that, man, like she was really judging me. Like she had a really negative opinion of me. So that just drove it in even more. But again, in a weird way, having this job that I hated motivated me to push harder to get away from this life that I didn't want. It motivated me in the same way that being so skinny and fearing never being able to find a mate, it forced me to push myself in the gym. But sometimes I couldn't tell whether I was moving forward with positive energy or just running away from what I feared most. So at this point in my life, I was driven forward by the fear that if I didn't keep pushing, I would end up in this same sticky vinyl seat next year, driving around the same kids, but driving right down the road to a mental breakdown. And I tried to frame it that way too, that if I didn't hate my job so much, maybe I wouldn't be pushing so hard. So if I had gotten hired at the motorcycle dealership and we were getting by, maybe I just would have accepted that. But I needed to have this job that I hated because that was what drove me forward when the recruiters put up that big roadblock. So here's the significant flaw in the recruiting system. Recruiters are enlisted, meaning they have lower rank and lower pay and status than the officers. So we're expecting enlisted personnel to recruit officers, people who are going to immediately outrank them, make more money than them, and have more authority than them as soon as they join the military. Most people don't have a whole lot of incentive to hire somebody who potentially will become their boss. The military is just like any other job where you just can't get around the social dynamics that come into play. One example of this is in training environments where you have a lot of young officers, you will see enlisted personnel dodging their salutes. I know we don't see that in movies. They make such a big deal out of salutes in the military, but these enlisted personnel will go get off the sidewalk, cut through the grass, take another route. They'll look down, pretend like they don't see these officers because they don't want to salute them. Because many of these officers are brand new to the military and haven't essentially earned any respect yet. But the enlisted recruiters are the gatekeepers. These are the ones that are going to take my whole portfolio of my whole application, letters of recommendation, performance reports, transcripts, all that stuff, and they need to move that forward to meet the board that's going to decide who gets selected or not. So with that in mind, whether it was an actual factor or not, either way, I was having a really hard time getting recruiters to take me on and to push my package forward. Such a hard time that I stopped dealing with the ones in San Antonio for a time and started contacting the ones in Austin. But those guys as well were blowing me off. Some of the feedback that I was given was that my 3.7 GPA was good, but not for a non-engineering degree. And the reason I didn't pursue an engineering degree was not only was I not smart enough to do that, but I wanted the fastest degree to get me to a commission. And it looks like that was going to be a big mistake. But I wasn't going to make it that easy for them to get rid of me. So in a last-ditch effort, I contacted the San Antonio recruiting office one more time, and I demanded to speak with the superintendent, the senior master sergeant in charge of the office. And he invited me to come in and sit down with him. So I made an appointment, and I remember walking through the shade of the large oak trees leading up to this glass-faced, really tall office building. And it was a really nice, clean lobby. I strolled across the lobby, took the elevator up, and he was there to meet me. Took me into his private office.